Good morning, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Garden State Weather and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, your source for weather information for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day. I'm forecaster Robert Smith, and this is the video forecast discussion for Wednesday, my birthday, January 8th, 2014. And at 8 a.m. this morning, temperatures are still cold. They're not as cold as they were last night, but that doesn't really matter because we still have temperatures at 0 here at 8 o'clock this morning in Wantage up in Sussex County. And we have temperatures still at -3 in Walpack. We've got temperatures at 4 at Hope. Temperatures 7 degrees this morning. It's a chilly temperature here in western Warren County. Peak West coming in at 3. And we've got Netcon coming in at 2 degrees above 0 this morning. Temperatures in the New Jersey, New York City metro area in the single digits to the low teens at best this morning. It's still about 9 degrees here in Newark at the airport this morning, and also at Harrison this morning too. Temperatures in the central and southern New Jersey region not much better. Temperatures still in the single digits to the low and mid-teens. And the winds are much lighter today. They're generally less than 10 miles an hour in most places, and that makes the wind chill about 7 degrees below 0 right now in Wantage, 4 degrees above 0 in portions of the region, 7 degrees below 0 in Charlottesburg here in northern Morris County. And other wind chills this morning, temperatures running from below 0 to just above 0, even around 10, 11 degrees with the wind chill this morning. Visible satellite this morning out of the New Jersey area. You see some mid and high level clouds across the region this morning, but notice all the striations here off the New Jersey coast. We discussed this yesterday. That's all the cold air that's rushing over the tops of the warmer water here about 20 nautical miles out. And we can see this in the striations of all the cold air that's over the top of us right now, moving from west to east out into the ocean. New Jersey weather surface chart from this morning shows basically clear skies across the region this morning, but it's cold. And the dew points are bone dry. They're -5, -10. Air temperatures just either side of 0, getting into the lower teens here, if you want to call it that. At Caldwell at 11 this morning, LaGuardia at 11 too. And this is the latest surface map as of 8 o'clock this morning. And we do have a few areas where we find some high mid-level clouds and broken clouds at 25,000 feet or so. Other than that, clear skies. The winds are backing around now to the west-southwest as some warm air advection, believe it or not, tries to get going here and warms us up even more today than we did have yesterday. And we're scaling down on some of the advisories across the region as well. We have small craft advisories until 9 o'clock this morning across central and southern New Jersey's coastal waters into the back bays here of the Hudson. Until 11, small craft advisories on the south shore and east ends of Long Island until 11 a.m. this morning, and also on the north shore of Long Island, south shore of Connecticut here until 11 a.m. this morning. There's no freeze watches, warnings, or advisories here in northern New Jersey, but it's going to be a cold one none the least. And the wind chill advisories back out here through the Poconos and northwestern Pennsylvania or northeastern Pennsylvania will be expiring at 10 a.m. this morning. That's good news. Latest visible chart from the northeastern United States shows the cloud cover now. The satellite is passing across the region when this shot was taken, but we can see the high and mid-level clouds moving across the region as warm air advection's ongoing. We can also see a little bit more lift here in the cloud cover and the water vapor imagery as well. This means that warm air advection is beginning, and this will have an effect on our temperatures throughout today as they continue to warm, as high pressure continues to build in across the northern mid-Atlantic region. We still have some snow plumes here from off Lakes Erie and Lake Ontario, but away from our region. And most of that will remain across and away from our region today as high pressure is in control with gradual warming conditions. On the aviational weather deck this morning, we have generally VFR conditions. Outside of Newark this morning, it's 9 degrees, a little warmer than it was yesterday, not by much though. And we have high broken clouds at 25,000 feet, so the sky there is overcast, but basically clear underneath that. Visibility is better than 10 miles. The winds are west at 12 miles an hour, and the wind chill -6. We're expecting some scattered clouds across the region today, mostly mid and high level clouds across the region as the winds back around to the southwest at around 10 knots. And then a front will pass through tomorrow morning. The winds will back around to the northwest at around 7 knots with a few scattered clouds, generally VFR conditions. Of course, for Philadelphia this morning, we have generally mostly cloudy skies with some scattered clouds at 28,000 feet. The wind is out of the southwest at about 10 knots, air temperature 12, and the wind chill is 1. A few scattered high clouds today, broken ceilings this afternoon and this evening with a southwestern variable wind at less than 10 knots. And then the cold front comes through tomorrow morning with a wind shift to the northwest at about 10 knots, some scattered clouds at 5,000 and 10,000 feet, basically VFR conditions. Morning surface chart from weatheroanoke.com and Digital Atmosphere Software shows the high pressure ridge now cresting over the mid-Atlantic coastal regions. All the winds are turning around to the southwest, but if you notice, all the air temperatures down through the Tennessee River Valley and the Mississippi River Valley are in the teens to mid-20s this morning. Even parts of Florida are just above freezing on the northern end here of northern Florida, and temperatures get into the lower 60s by the time you get to central and southern Florida this morning. So this is a very cold air mass. It's retreating gradually. Here's our upper level trough and a weak cold front, which will be swinging through the northern mid-Atlantic coast tomorrow morning with a wind shift and gradually still finding warmer air advection. This cold air back up in here will not really penetrate through the region as deep as the last Arctic air mass or polar vortex did, and high pressure will continue to be in control. We are watching a warm front now developing across the central plains with the disturbance diving down, and this warm air advection will cause precipitation to break out across the region during Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. And we can see this nicely now on the water vapor channel imagery with the warm air advection ongoing and with the increase in the water vapor here across the Ohio River Valley. Here's our next disturbance here across the central plains. This will be moving in our direction and providing an increase of cloud cover and the chance for some light spotty precipitation as we get through Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. High resolution NAMWRF composite temperature forecast at 2 meters here. This is where we stand at about 6 feet. Temperatures this afternoon getting into the upper teens and low to mid 20s across the region. And tonight temperatures drop back down into the single digits and teens across the region and lower to mid 20s in central and southern New Jersey, possibly into around freezing or so across southern New Jersey, extreme southern New Jersey and the Delmarva region. By tomorrow afternoon, temperatures continue to rise even warmer into the mid and upper 20s to low 30s across the region, and as we get into Friday afternoon, temperatures warm even further above freezing, yay, in the mid to the upper 30s to low 40s across the forecast region. Going to have a series of disturbances move across the region as warm air advection continues to build into the forecast region, with the high, broken, scattered, and middle level clouds across the region getting in here after midnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And some of the precipitation that's showing up on the reflectivity here from the NAMWRF model may not actually reach the ground. So if it does, it'll be very light and spotty. Seems to be dissipating according to the model as the cloud cover and the area of lift begins to weaken. Another area to our west and southwest will increase the moisture content and the variable cloud cover across the region during the day on Friday, with a mixture of sun and cloud and some precipitation spokes here off the coast and another batch just towards the Ohio River Valley and Tennessee River Valley that might be getting in here by later Friday night and Saturday. GFS maps into motion now. High pressure across the region today, and then will continue to be an influence through our weather during this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow. An increase in middle and high level cloudiness, and then some influence here from a trough line or axis line, winds shifting around and moisture advecting in from off the ocean here on Friday afternoon, and this disturbance here across the southern plains moving towards the southeastern Canada, the St. Lawrence River Valley on Saturday. These two areas will combine with plenty of moisture coming in to the region. We could be looking at some moderate to heavy rain developing across the region on Saturday evening now, and this would continue into Sunday morning as the low and frontal system move off the coast and high pressure briefly builds in across the central and southern United States coast. We wait for this area of low pressure and small and height falls here across the southern regions of central Canada to move in our direction. This is going to move into southeastern Canada with another lobe across the ridge axis here that we have off the west coast. This is a positive PNA with a ridge in the means aloft across the western United States and a trough axis basically in the means from the central and southeastern United States all the way to the east coast. This low will undercut and the height falls begin again, and by early next week we find ourselves tanking with low pressure developing across the Great Lakes and then swinging into Atlantic Canada. Another lobe. This is going to have to be watched here for early next week, the middle part of next week, because this trough axis here looks to be going negatively tilted, and this could be a bit more formidable storm system. But even if this doesn't really affect us so much early next week, the middle part of next week, we have another strong system on its heels up and through British Columbia and Canada, driving down into the mean trough line axis flow. And it's a very, very cold air here building across the region again by late next week, with the storm system and the polar vortex really getting going here across southeastern Canada. It's a very blocky pattern with very strong heights now across the western United States, extending into British Columbia and western southwestern Canada, and a deep trough in the means across the central and eastern United States. So don't get used to the warm up this weekend, because we're going to go back down once again. And pretty much the operational European model, the GFS, and the Canadian model all showing the same thing. Very strong PNA signature, positive heights across the western United States into the Aleutian Islands here, and a deep trough in the means across central and southeastern Canada. Part of this is the polar vortex here. We can see the European model keeping the height falls here in Canada, the polar vortex dropping a little further south on the GFS model. This is the 8 to 10 day forecast, which takes us out to the 18th next Saturday in January. And here is another example on the Canadian model of a deep trough in the means with the height falls here across the eastern United States. So this is pretty uniform in agreement. The details obviously not quite as correct, but the overall factor of the mean flow looks to be pretty cold across the eastern United States going into the mid and late part of next week. So stay on your toes and keep warm out there, because there's a variable amount of change in the weather over the next 2 weeks, and we're going to be up and down, mostly going back down again by the middle to later part of next week. And the storm potentials and the disturbances moving through the mean flow are going to keep me and everybody else a little bit busy. For Garden State Weather and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You make it a good Wednesday, and we'll be back bright and early on Thursday morning.